So, hello friends, this is Yrvind, and now for the lid for the hatches I need some more laminated Divinycell. So this is what we're going to do today, and this is going to be enough for the 4-1 and quite a bit more. So, good thing. So, now one side of a sheet of Divinycell is done with glass fiber. This is for get out pieces, for example, for the 4 deck hats that can come out. It's a bit stronger than usual, but it's good for the hooks and things like this. So that's a good thing. And also I'm going to level out the bottom for the gaskets. So here it's going to pour in epoxy to make sure it's not going to leak out. I put some extra thicken epoxy in here. So that's a good thing. Next episode in jail. I went into a police station and told them that I was wanted. We can arrange so that you can do your term after Christmas, I was told. I am an atheist and a misfit, and I have chosen to serve my sentence during Christmas because I hate holidays, I said, with some satisfaction. I got a ticket to my destination. First, I took the train to Falkenberg, a small town where I changed to a bus. It let me out at a crossroad in the middle of a big field. Far from any civilization. A signpost directed me along a small road which led up through a wood. From the top of a hill where the landscape opened up, I saw the prison, my new home. It consisted of several buildings, beautifully arranged near a lake. When I got closer, I saw that there were no fences, no bars. It was intended for conscientious objectors, drunken drivers, rapists, in other words, for lesser criminals. I was to share my cell with a rapist, a nice guy, but rather bitter, they told me. He told me that he was a trucker, that he had picked up a 15-year-old girl, that he had made a square deal with her, that she should pay for the way girls without money pay. Naturally, he wanted payment in advance. That was okay with her. At the end of the drive, he thought he could do with a bit more payment. As he took his time, enjoying himself for no reason at all, the girl had started to scream, so much that people had come running. It was because of her ungratefulness, he said, that all the trouble had started. Trouble with the police, with his boss, with his wife, and trouble with his 3 teenage daughters. The next day I was led to a workshop and told to work. Work was not included in my plans. I told him that if Judge had intended me to work, he would have sentenced me to work. I told him that I'd been to cinema and seen criminals sitting in their cells doing nothing, and that was the way I intended to serve my sentence. My refusal upset the wardens. They accused me of mutiny. When they realized that my decision stood firm, they contacted the police. They did not like to have troublemakers in their little quiet prison. I was treated as a dangerous person and transported to a high security prison. During the drive, the policeman told me how stupid I was, that now I would go to a prison where they knew how to deal with real hardcore criminals. Towards the evening of the short winter day, we arrived at the new jail. It looked like a real prison. It had high walls topped with barbed wire. It had barred windows. There were heavy doors and plenty of guards. I was put in solitary confinement and told to start sewing mailbags, which of course I ignored. The jailers told me that only days of work counted as punishment. If I did not do work, they would keep me forever. After about a week, a man with a white coat and a soft voice came to the cell. He said that I was going to be transferred to another part of the jail where prisoners undergoing examinations by forensic psychiatrists to determine if they were psychopaths. My new mates had been accused of being murderers, pyromaniacs, swindlers, and pedophiles. This group, the dregs of society, now also included me. When I arrived, they were sitting at a long table eating. Were eating, talking about the last football game. It surprised me that they all looked not normal. It was not like on film, where the good guys looked good and the evil ones looked evil. After thinking about it for a while, I realized that they all looked normal, because before they'd been caught, not many weeks ago, they had been respected citizens. Many of them, in fact, had because only a long time after they had committed a crime, and then only by chance. I began to speculate about how many respected citizens were in fact criminals. Life in the new ward was actually an improvement. It was only between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. during the night that we were locked in our cells. We spent a lot of time in the common room talking. Because I was green, many older prisoners were eager to teach me new professions: how to rob banks, how to blow up sails, how to burgle. My new friends encouraged me and predicted an excellent criminal career for me, as I was well organized and technical, curious, and a good planner. My best teacher was my neighbor, a special person among these special people. On his cell door he had hung a sign, "Do not disturb." He was an aristocrat with strong political views, right-wing political views. He had decided to dedicate his life to finding knowledge. For that, he needed a quiet and peaceful place. An opportunity arrived one day during an argument with an opponent. My neighbor thought that nothing would be more logical than to stab a sharp knife in the back of his adversary. His long membership of the Hitler Youth had given him good military training. He did not try to hide his crime. The purpose of the action was twofold. One, to get rid of a communist. Two, to get free bed and board. Society thought otherwise. They considered him insane but highly intelligent and dangerous. I did not disturb my aloof neighbor. After a week, he decided to check me out. During one of our meals, he placed himself next to me and opened a conversation. He searched my mind and found it to his liking. I became his protege. Being an aristocrat and a politician, it was natural for him to rule the world. Mostly, it was his demeanor that gave him power, but he also used small tricks to make other prisoners do menial jobs for him. For example, one prisoner made his bed every morning. He was paid a cigarette. I'm sure that it would have been more convenient for him to make his bed himself. But that was not the point. The point was to show us who ruled. He had many books in his cell. Not that we were friends. Now that we were friends, he invited me in to discuss big questions. One day he said, "Sven, listen carefully. Never do what I have done. Because the solution to the problem is not violence. It is in books that you will find the answers. And they are written by the wisest men in the world. Anytime you have a problem, you should go to the library and find a book about it. For example," he said, "if you are going to France, there is a book about that. If you're going to build a radio receiver, there's a book about that. If you want to know about life after that, there's a book about that." He started to guide me in the world of knowledge. An excellent start of good education is the history of philosophy, he said, and lent me a book with many pages. It was a history of Western civilization by Bertrand Russell. After philosophy comes psychology. He lent me a general introduction to psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud. After that came books by Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Strindberg, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, and many more. Another day he told me that it was important to get an unabridged dictionary so that I could look up all difficult words. He emphasized the importance of having full control over language and understand the exact meaning of every word. He also told me that it was important to write. When you write, you purge your thoughts of inconsistencies. Most ideas are too complex for the brain to handle. The brain can only grasp one thing at a time, but reality is complex, made up of multiple layers of fundamental principle. A system or plan which is not 100% consistent with reality is of no use. Write things down. It reveals the errors of your thoughts. Not a day without a line was his motto. He made me conscious of the enormous power of education. As a misfit, I had lots of problems. One thing was for sure. If books could help me to solve problems, then I would read many books. I passed my time getting pleasantly edified. One day, I was escorted to the office of the man with the white coat and soft voice. He had received reports that I still refused to work and the drafts. He said, "I can write a testimonial confirming that you are a psychopath. Then they will let you out and you won't have to go back to the army either. That will make you a free man, but realize, always an outsider." One frosty morning in February 1960, 7 o'clock on the dot, I stood outside the prison gate. A free man, free but a confirmed psychopath. I wore my own clothes. I breathed the fresh air. They had given me $35 to get a new start in life. I took the tram to the public bath, went into the sauna, sweated out the smell of prison. Later I walked up the main street. Beautiful girls passed. I smiled. And to be continued.